What's up? So I already have an LS swapped 92 Ranger. So this guy's sitting right here. Sorry, man, my garage is small, so I can only get so far away. Single cab, short bed, 5-speed 4-cylinder truck. Started its life out. Still minty fresh. Interior. I'm not gonna go into how I swapped it. It's pretty straightforward. Cut, smash, fit. So anyway, that's it. It's a 4.8. I've gone through 3 transmissions in this truck. 2 turbo 350s that were both Craigslist transmissions. Built shift kit, $200 transmissions. One of them, the shift kit, was to just remove the 1-2 accumulator spring altogether, and the shock of it eventually cracked the bell housing. So I bought another $150 turbo 350, put a $100 shift kit in it from Transgo, and it rocked. Put a $200 Jegs converter in it. I think it was like a 2,800 RPM stall. Way too much stall for the 410 gears that are in this factory 7.5-inch rear end. I mean, like way too much stall. It's just, stop sign to stop sign. So I put a NV3500 in it last spring out of a Silverado. And what's kind of cool is, let me flip this around. What's kind of cool is, it's hard to see, it's impossible to see. Anyway, the factory shifter hole accommodated the NV3500 perfectly. Problem was I used a clutch style one, I used a fork style one, and that actually didn't jive totally. I used the stock Ford Master cylinder, and it actually would get the whole stroke for the fork, but something with the spacing of the throwout bearing that was in there, it wasn't totally disengaged. So this is just another spare one. This is the throwout bearing style that you would have found behind the 4.8s in a Silverado. And I picked it up. The guy was selling it with a rebuild kit, so who knows how good this one is. I'll probably throw this in there. It seems like all the gears are there. But anyway, I'll probably rebuild that one with this trans kit. It did blow out fifth gear, excuse me. Like I said, it would hang, it would shift slow because it would wouldn't totally disengage. Reverse would kind of grind. So anyway, this is what was on the car. The truck, I traded a Yamaha Blaster for the engine, straight up on Craigslist. It had the Edelbrock single plane intake, the spark box, and he had some old factory Holley 600 on there, like a OEM type Holley. This is a Street Avenger 670 that I picked up for like $150. I mean, it's been running for 3 years on this. It runs pretty good. I got, it as dialed in as I could, but the thing is, with that single plane intake and the small cubic inch, it's only a 4.8, and the healthy sloppy stage 2 cam, you just didn't get a whole lot of signal down low. It was rough. You kind of had to give it a healthy amount of slip to leave without it bogging and misfiring. But I mean, and it wasn't squirter, because if you were cruising around and you mashed it, it was fine. It wouldn't cough or anything. It was just, it didn't have enough signal down low. You guys can roast me. I don't know how to tune a carburetor. You got your fucking right. I don't know how to tune a carburetor. This is the first piece of shit I ever had that had one, and I'm glad I'm leaving that behind. So We're going back to fuel injection. This is actually a harness that I'm doing for a buddy of mine. I know, I'm super fucking professional. Look at this shit. Oh, labels. Oh. Anyway, this is the harness. This is my harness. Just fuse block, you know. So this is going back on there. I got just factory set of truck injectors. I got a couple of different sets, but the ones I'm using are from a Trailblazer SS. I have actually the TBSS intake with the rails and everything. I don't have a throttle body. I know I could buy a $50 China Bay one, or I could buy the $20 ITC 3-bolt adapter. But I just don't care enough to do it right now, so we're going to get it running with this, and maybe down the road I'll do that. So here is the ECU. This is actually the factory Ford Ranger computer. I gutted it, and inside here is a Speeduino. It's a V3 board. So, oh shit, I forgot that iron's on. It's a V3 board. I got it all wired up. If you guys are interested, I'll post something. It's got a Bluetooth module, so it can you can run gauges on your phone or a tablet or whatever. These are my outputs. I think those are my outputs. I got two of them in there. One of them is inputs, one of them is outputs. I marked it with the electrical tape so I don't plug the wrong one into the wrong one. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much more about what this is. I'm going to go into the fact that this is your pretty run-of-the-mill, cheap swap. I am no fancy mechanic. I also am no sloppy mechanic because, man, I don't have any money in this thing. This is not a race car. I'm not going to make it a race car. The NV3500 is a shitty 5-speed transmission, but it's pretty tough, but it shifts like a dog. But you know what? Shifting gears is way more fun and something that you just want to drive around on the street. That's my opinion. I like doing burnouts. I also like the way the exhaust sounds when you fucking take off and, engine brake. Oh, it's better with, everything's better shifting gears. It's just my opinion. So this thing has, I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. Let's just get it going real good. Yeah. That is a 1992 suspension for you. It's got twin I-beam. This truck has twin I-beam suspension. I don't know if this thing will show you. Yeah, check it out. Oh yeah, if you're curious, factory truck pan fit just fine. This is also a Explorer radiator from the same vintage trucks. It was a V6 radiator. It does just fine. I had to move it in front of the grill, or in front of the core support, and I just chopped and moved the lower mounts, and this grill is pretty much all that holds it in up top. But it's in there. It ain't going nowhere. Chopped and plasti welded Ford Taurus fan. I keep it on low. It's just key on all the time right now, and this thing in a 100-degree summer traffic jam stayed steady at 190. It's cooling and has no issues. So I'm gonna make this thing a little less deathy. Over here, that is the front and rear sway bar from a S10 Extreme. Those came on the ZQ8 package for you S10 nerds. Dimensionally, they're gonna work. The width of those endpoints on the front sway bar are roughly what we got on here. If you look at this thing, that's like a 1.25 inches maybe. inch and 3/8. It's solid. That is a solid, big ass front sway bar. Way better than the little 7/8 guy that's on here somewhere. Take my word for it. It's shrimpy. You can see it down in there. That little guy right there. So we're gonna make it work. The mounts are a little different. Not too worried about it. It's gonna be an improvement. And I do have a 8.8 from an Explorer, 373s, disc brakes, Positrack. That is a direct. I mean, this is a pretty direct swap into this truck. The only difference is that those were axle oversprings in the Explorers. This truck is axle underspring. I'm probably going to put it in just as it would be axle overspring. Yeah, axle overspring in the Explorer. Thing is, that's going to slam the ass end of this truck. So I think I might buy a cheap set of lift shackles. And those are adjustable. They got like 3 or 4 different holes on them. So, and I mean, this thing has a pretty nasty rake anyway. So I'm going to fuck around with it, try to get it level with those drop or lift shackles and putting it on top of the springs, because the weight of this definitely brought that down. I mean, it probably dropped it a good 1.5 inches in the front after that, after the swap. I've been driving it for 3 years. It's fucking terrifying. It's super deathy. It's like I said, it's 4.8 SS Stage 2 Pac 1218s. You know the deal. They're 862s, 826s, the 706 alternatives. I just had them take like 15 thou off of them at the machine shop. So it's about 11-ish to 1. I run premium 93. So, it's got headers on it. Richard Holdner, he did he dynoed the SS2 on a 4.8 with dome pistons, and it was about 11 to 1. I think he made like 410 at the crank. So, you figure around that at the crank for this setup. Around, plus or minus 20 horse at 400. I just say I got roughly 400 at the crank. Probably 370, maybe a little less to the ground through the 5-speed. Who knows? The truck weighs 3,200 pounds with me in it. And you saw the suspension. This is a point and shoot deal. It doesn't like taking turns. It doesn't like any of that shit. And I'm not going to fucking chop the front end of this fucking truck off to put a Mustang 2 front end or a fucking Pinto or any of that shit. I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to fucking frame swap it for another later gen Ranger that has front control arms. I'm not doing it. There's a point where you just got to say, this money is better spent on a car that's a better platform to start with. And it has nothing to say against any of you guys that got these Rangers and have done all that, gone full on race car with them. You guys are awesome. But I like having a truck. I do. This is not my daily. I like having a truck. It's practical. Sleeper as fuck. I actually got... I even went as far as like, look, here's the factory wheels. Those are almost an identical clone of these American Racing Outlaw 2s. These are 15x7s. These came off of a Jeep. I thought they were 15x8s. I went to pick them up. They were 15x7s. Too bad. So my goal with this truck, long-winded explanation, probably added a lot of this shit out just to make it a little less deathy. Yeah. So simple fab stuff, right? Gonna make 2 nice sway bars work that are matched. Ford truck, roughly this. Not a whole lot of difference between this and an S10 dimensionally and weight wise. So that's the ITC billet, Bikini Boy alternator power steering pump. Problem is this power steering pump, man, they put out a whole lot of pressure, and this steering box doesn't take a whole lot. So it's twitchy as fuck. So over here, I got Volvo Boy electric. What I'm gonna do is I am gonna rig up. I've already bench tested it. Actually, here I can show you. Lied. Drawer's locked. I'm gonna rig up an Arduino, tap into the VSS that's in this transmission, because I already have a little Arduino set up to run a stepper for a speedometer from the VSS. And I'm also going to use that, write a couple of switch case statements, or maybe even just make it totally linear with an offset to just shut off above 40 mile an hour. Yeah, so I'm basically going to kind of do what they did OEM. Pump will be on full bore, at idle, and not idle, but stand still, and linearly reduce output up to X mile an hour. Like I said, probably 35, 40 mile an hour, and then just shut off. So that way, the feedback's a little more intense. You don't need assist when you're driving. It'll feel better. So I'll share some. I'll show the code for that. What else I got going on? Because that's just an added bonus. The real thing is with this Arduino is that I made little GM stepper dash gauge motor. It'll react to the appropriately. It'll scale it to the dash. I'll go through all that for the factory one on the dash, because I wanted, I said, I don't want anything to be fucking fancy on this thing. I just want it to be minimalistic, reliable sleeper. And then, also the added bonus of having the dynamic power steering will be sweet. Another reason, because I know I said I'm not going to go full race car with this thing. I know I did. But I'm going to use the factory truck rotating assembly, chop off, so I just running the alternator and the tensioner, the idler, so that this clears up this space. More importantly, it'll clear up this space for Snaily over here at some point. Because I said I'm not going to go full race car, but the thing is that this thing gaps, right? Until I got gapped.